Okay. Yeah, and I was just saying that, and then I know you've heard like don't leave a job without having another job, and like
Yes.
and so many rules that if you did not figure out your own path, you would be stuck in the pinnacle of what they felt the pinnacle was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And not understanding that it could be so much higher if you listen to your own voice from God.
Yep. And it's a different world, like from the world that they were living in. I'm gonna sing the different world theme song, but from the world they were living in and from the world that we're currently living in now. And so I think that that's something that that's a skill set that we all have to sharpen, how to communicate, how to hear advice and wisdom and know what part is for you and what part is coming from them.
Man.
And it's so key that you do that. And it's funny because when you were telling your story, I did want to ask you. So when you went to Atlanta and you took that job at Home Depot, it's not even about where it was. Do you regret that season of working the job and still kind of building your brand?
Uh,
Hindsight.
I don't regret anything because I learned from everything,
Yeah.
right? And without that job, so super recent hindsight,
Yeah.
without that job and leaving that job, right? I wouldn't have been able to connect with the lady on LinkedIn when COVID hit. Because
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
all I'm doing is entertainment, like we were depressed. Like
Right.
as
Right.
entertainers, it was a wrap for a lot of us. And so they figured out this virtual space. So I end up going back to Home Depot
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
after doing extremely well for
Yeah.
like 2 months, right? To work third shift
Mm-hmm.
just because I'm like, bro, like my savings literally look horrible.
Mm-hmm.
These shows were coming up and I
Right.
don't have any, like we got five, like we knew it was bad when the NBA said no more basketball.
That's when people
Right?
knew COVID was real.
Oh,
Actually,
we knew it was
it
real,
wasn't
right?
CNN. It
And
was that.
so we had 5 contracts pulled in a day. And
Mm,
these are all contracts for 10K plus.
yeah.
And so we were like, this is gonna be bad, right? And
Yeah.
so me and my business partner, Eric King, we actually got jobs. I started working at Home Depot for like 2 months, whatever. End up going to like a sales job, but so I don't regret that season,
Mhm.
right? But I will say that that man, like God has oh man, like just has really like blessed me with a energy and with the light that
Mhm.
I know I have to do entertainment. I
Yeah.
know I have to be on a TV screen, like, and I'm not even gonna say sooner than later, whenever that time
The
is, whenever
timing
it
is right.
catches up, it is
That's
going to
good.
happen, right? Because
Yeah.
I remember when I left, the lady, not the lady, so not my supervisor, but her boss, um, pulled me to the side because you once you quit a job or whatever, they gotta like walk you out because they don't know if you about to go cuss people out and kick over trash cans, right? She pulled me to the side and was like, and I remember, and I at the end of the day, you still have to do what you have to do, right? So I didn't want to go back to Home Depot because of this conversation, but
Mhm.
I knew that it was only for a season, right?
Right.
But
Right.
she told me, she said, um, I don't know what you do, but keep doing what you do,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Um, because you're not here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're not here. You're so focused, and this I can see what this is, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and again, I don't know what you do, but you do something,
Yeah.
right? So keep your head on straight, stay out of trouble, do your thing, but don't come back here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, oh. And she was like, because whatever you're doing, you're going to be great at it. And
Mhm.
I know
Mhm.
that for a fact. And I do not want to see your face here no
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
I was like,
Wow.
woo! You know what I'm
Confirmation
saying?
for you. Right.
Yeah, so she was like, I'm rooting for you. I know you're gonna do
Yeah.
your thing. And so we proud of you, we love you, but get going now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so it was that energy, it was that vibe that just spoke so much to me because she's like she saw the light of you shine so bright You don't need to be here, and you know
Right.
it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know it. I know it. So go and do your thing, whatever that thing is.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back on that question because there are a lot of people that listen to these episodes. And, I try my best based on the theme of that season to pull out the process and the journey that all the guests have been on. But it's human nature to only hear the end result, the positives, the happy, and then forget, like, well, the person told you what, the ups and downs, the valleys and peaks. And so, there's no doubt at that time, or even the time most recently that you shared during COVID, of being like, okay, so I know how I felt when I didn't have a cash flow. I wanted to support myself. And for that season, because you knew in your head, like, this is for a season. Like, I'm not about to go back here to establish something long term because it's not for me. If it's for you, that's phenomenal too. But I say that because I think a lot of people, one thing that you said that I want to highlight was, you said, it wasn't that it wasn't that the car was messed up, it was that the wheel was broken. So, like, it wasn't that I didn't know how to work hard, it was just like I need to put all the energy towards what I'm trying to accomplish. And so I pinpoint that out to say, for people who are listening, like, I hear all the time where people are like, well, I don't want to work 2 jobs, or I don't want to work unless I'm doing exactly what I want to. And if you can have that same level of grind and grit to go for what you know, and also know that it might not be the rosiest path, right? Like, we always hear the stories of, like, yeah, I was trying to be an actor and I had to sleep in 4 different houses while I was, being a waiter or waitress. You hear those stories because they knew what they had to do, so they weren't fazed by it. If that's not you, you said what? I'm sorry.
Can I speak to the rosiest path?
Sure.
Okay. So it's not always going to be the rosiest path. And I say that because with doing college tours, every summer, every Christmas break got cold. Every single one. Like, maybe till last year, to where I had the mindset of, well, I'm gonna say 2 years ago, to give my one of my mentors, Aunt D, some credit, because she's the one that said, hey, you need to have some money in the bank, right? So 2 years ago, when I actually had some money in the bank, but then ended up going to LA and spending it all for 2 months, right? I just wanted to be in LA. You know what I'm saying? But I don't regret that decision, because that's what I wanted to do. I had the money to do that, right? So now I'm able to say, okay, cool, you're going to have some cash flow, like you said, some money in the bank to sustain yourself. But since 2010 to, we in 21 now, till 2018, every Christmas break, every summer, I was super depressed. Got cold every single time, right? Like, literally, and not on, anything suicidal, but literally, like, laying on my bed, looking at the ceiling, like, I don't want to be here no more. Not gonna do it. I wasn't gonna do anything about it, but just no life, no feeling for life, right? Like, like, I'm just here, right? And it got that bad, only to get. So it got to that low, only to get to this high, a month and a half later, right? But I put my body, my mental through that every single Christmas break, every single summer break, from 2010 to 2018. So a lot of times people say, even in relationships, like, I have a wonderful lady now that going on 3 years, that supports me, holds me down, and I do this, same for her. But, like, even like relationships were even a hard thing for me, because it was I know you put all of this energy into your job and your work or whatever, but treat me how you treat yourself. And I was like, you don't even hear what you're saying. I don't treat myself well. I treat myself bad. Like, the only thing that I care about right now is trying to get to the next level. I don't have to eat. I can be broke. I can be depressed. But this is what this is the pain I'm deciding to inflict on myself, because I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I don't know what this is. Like, you're telling me that, hey, like, I like you, you like me, let's make this happen. I don't know what that could be, right? I know what this is. I've been able to have these high highs and these low lows and this system, this hill valley system for years. And you got people in your ear like, why would you put yourself through that? I don't know. I have no clue. But this is what I decided to do, and this is what feels normal for me until, you know, somebody came along and said, yo, like, just doing better than your parents ain't good enough. You can actually be doing good, and you're deciding to not do good in life just to do better. And you got to think about where we actually came from. Better ain't the move. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
you know, well, this was taking turns, but it was so on point, because even in the analogy that you gave in knowing where you were, and even to saying where you are now, and I always tell people, it's not like there's a magical person. It's knowing where it was, being more settled in who you were, that made you more available for the person. Right. So I always say that. I'm always like, that's why it's so important to be self-aware. It's so important to focus on what you need to focus on, because there's not really, let me disclaimer this with Allison, this is my opinion. It's not so much that, oh my gosh, everybody before was crazy and horrible, but it's also like, I wasn't in the season to be available.
Come on, somebody.
You know, but then as you get more understanding of, okay, this is where I want to be. I know who I am. I'm more confident in who I am. I got to work through past traumas, past voices, all that. Then you're making yourself more available for relationships, for friendships, for professional opportunities, because you're in a space to handle that. And we know to whom much is given, much is required. But yes, it has to be a space where you're ready for the much that is given, so you can be ready for the much that's required, you know? So glad you pulled that out.
I don't know if my lady gonna watch this podcast, but you know, we had a conversation years ago, and you were like, hey, I have some friends and stuff that, you know, that, and I think you're doing your thing. I think you know, are growing, doing your thing. And I got some friends that I probably want to introduce you to. And I remember texting you, I don't want those blessings yet. And you was like, okay.
You sure did.
Yeah. No, knowing that Allison is around plethora of successful, beautiful, caring queens all day, every day. And I knew that, you know what I'm saying, it could, but again, I'm glad I missed those blessings, because I found my blessing that actually worked for me.
And timing, let's be clear. Let's be clear. And I say this to myself, and I say this to everyone. Your timing is on time.
Man.
So you don't have to look to anybody else and figure out and live in the past and wonder, did I miss something? What, you know, this is an adage we all heard, what's for you is for you. But yes, the more you can focus on being more emotionally ready and available for all those blessings to come, they will come. The irony in it is, it's always been there. You just have to be available for it. Be honest about it.
Go, Allison.
No, but you know, it's really true. And so like, and I mean, and to each their own. If you feel like I'm not ready, then you're not.
Man.
And it's really great to be aware of that, because you don't want to hurt opportunities. You don't want damage.
I would have ruined everything with you.
Know, and it would have been great. You know what I'm saying? But when you are ready and you are available for it, it will pour in, because literally it's like, you being available is the levy. Right. Let's do this. You being available is the levy. And if you're not, it's all that you want is on the other side of that. But the moment you are emotionally, mentally available, that will come down, and everything that you've been asking for can have the room, because you can now handle it. So
that's actually a question that I asked my lady, like when I was like, yo, it's something about you, I love how this feels. Are you available for me to love you?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, right?
Those are questions that need answers.
Questions, right? Because
Right.
if you're like, yo, I'm not available, then it's kind of like you got to decide where you're at in your life and where you want to be.
Yeah.
But that's a question that you have to ask yourself first. And I think it's also a question that you have to ask other people. Like, yo, I think I might love you, but are you available to be loved?
Yeah. So that was a free gem for everybody right now. So I hope they did.
Hello?
You also were saying how, and I'm going back a few conversations when you were talking about there were things that you saw for yourself, and you were just mindful of the fact that when everyone was giving you advice and ideas, it's like, but you don't see it. You don't see what I see. And I've been really focusing on that even in my life now of like knowing when to share what I'm working on and knowing when to hold it tight. And I think it shows a level of maturity to know when, there is a time to share. There is a time to bring people along. And there's a time, especially when it's still in the process of being formed and produced in you, that you need to hold it tight until it is done in you, and then you share it. And specifically, I was doing like a devotional, and I was reading about Joseph, and where most people know about him in his Technicolor Dreamcoat, if you're a Broadway person. But what's so interesting was, people know about Joseph. He ended up being like a ruler, and there's a whole story along with it where, he was in captivity, he was accused of rape, and he was pretty much thrown in jail, left for dead. And at the end of this whole story, his brothers actually sold him into captivity. And then the story, he becomes this ruler, and his family ends up coming to him and asking for forgiveness. And they were like literally had to bow down before him. But before all of that happened, when he was a teenager with his brothers, he actually had a dream that his family would bow before him. And then he went and told his brothers. He was like, hey, I had this dream, and y'all was like bowing before me. And they was like, for real? Yeah, we about to sell you. Because if you think that's what's going to happen, we'll show you that it wasn't. And I mean, it even talks about how they were like livid at the fact that he said that. Was the dream inaccurate? No. Should it have been shared at that moment?
Wow.
No.
Wow.
People weren't ready for that. So because it was shared at an off season and people weren't ready and people were jealous, like, we're going to bow down to you. They didn't realize that it was going to be because they were in need and their brother was in a position to help them. They just heard like, I'm going to bow down to you. So I use that to say, when it's not right to share it, hold it close. That doesn't mean that it's wrong. Oftentimes while we're sharing it is because we're really seeking validation, where we think we heard something and we need people to validate what we heard versus just going in us, hey, this is for me. So once you have that, hold it and it will come forth. But at least you have a clear line. Like, I don't want nobody in my ear but God. Like, because I can't afford 18 different opinions that are going to sway me and get in my head. And depending on who those people are giving it to me, it's going to mess me up even further because I really value their opinion. Like, there are just times to hold it and just grind.
We're gonna have to do a part 2 because I'm not about to do this ugly cry on here. That is
but it's real
for sure. I mean, I love that. Like, that is a word. So I appreciate the gems and everybody listening. That was only for me. That was for y'all too. Because one thing that you are going to see from me is a lot of films and independent films and projects, right? I always come up with concepts. I always write, but what has held me back was the validation from 10 people before I started to shoot it, right? And if I got validation from 8 and one person was like, it's okay, and then if one person was like, nah, you need to rewrite it, I'm gonna rewrite it for the one person. Right?
Correct.
And it's 8. Correct. It's 8 that's like, yo, this is dope. Do you like, you need to do this, right? And so focusing more so on positivity and tuning out the negativity, right? And the Lost One concept video that I sent you, I can't wait for you to show it. You might even can put a snippet on here. But I can't wait for you to see it because that's a project that I didn't wait on everybody's permission.
Absolutely.
And so and put up the money, like went and got the locations, everything. But that's one thing that I am really, really bad at is trying to get everybody on the same page versus understanding that anytime you hear no, you're just talking to the wrong person.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And sometimes you just need the yes from you. Like, it's like, I y'all invite to the party, but I don't need you to plan it. I
man,
mean, that's just the reality. That's just the reality. So
if
I
you come,
mean,
you come. If you don't, it's still a party.
to be clear, and I mean, and we both have shared on this episode alone, like, is that something that you just wake up into? No, it's something that you have to work at to be more self-aware of, like, hey, I don't need to run this by 18 different people. Like, this is for me. What what I'm working on is for me, and I need a season where it's just me working on it.
Come on, Allison. Because, and this is why, and this is why this project, I think, meant so much to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're only talking about one project out of many
Sure.
that I have and are coming, right?
Sure.
But it meant so much to me because the video is, so Jasmine Sullivan's album. Have you listened to it?
Yeah, some of it. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So she had a song on there, Lost One, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the hook just says, please don't have too much fun without me, right? But it spoke to me so much that we made it a political video, right? And so without giving away the whole story, the reason that I even did the video, it's a soldier that goes to war, right?
Mm-hmm.
Soldier that goes to war, his lady says, please don't have too much fun without me. Back to the States, something happens, right?
Yeah.
So watch and see what happens. But the reason that I did this video was because I needed something organically and genuinely for me to speak from when it came to political issues, right? Because I'm not the one, as soon as something happens, to run to Twitter, or because I have to process it. Like that's so heavy for me. It's so, like, everything going on is so heavy. And when I'm already in a space of having these high highs and low lows, like, to deal with that too is a lot sometimes, right? But I also realized that I wasn't speaking enough or using my platform because somebody extremely close to me voted for Trump, right? Extremely close to me voted for Trump, and the reasoning behind it made sense to them. And so for them for them to vote for Trump, and also to be brave enough to tell me, like, yeah, I did, and what was like, oh, was like, so me as an influencer, me as a content creator, me as a creative in general, I'm not using my voice at all. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it should have been, even if you did it, right? It should have been some conviction there, because this is going to hurt him. Right? Should have been, right? But for it to be no conviction, I'm like, okay, I'm doing a disservice to the people around me, because they don't see what's going on, because they don't see that it bothers me. Right. So how do I speak about these issues as genuinely and as organically to where if they see it, or when they see it, they'll go, I get it.
They have your perspective to even about, regardless of what they do, they have your perspective. But right now, they're not considering it because they don't have it.
Yep. So it was so important for me to do this video. And a lot of people ask me, like, after the fact, like, yo, did you get the numbers that you wanted? Did it do what you wanted it to do? And I was like, I just wanted one person to see this. Right. I did it for me, number one, because it resonated with me. So that means it's going to resonate with somebody, right? A lot of times as entertainers, we hold ourselves back because we want to do it for everybody versus, hey, this is something that I need to do for me to get out of my head and out of my heart. And because it's for me and because it resonates with me so well, somebody is going to relate to it. Might not be the world, but it's going to be those people who feel how I feel. Right. And so I had to get into that space versus, hey, let me add this element so that it'll hit harder for everybody. I'm not concerned with everybody anymore. If this is something that's on my heart, that's the reason I'm putting it out.
I love it. So listen, I feel like we do need a part 2 because we hit on so many things, but actually I know that everything that we hit on was necessary for this episode. Before we wrap up, I have a few more questions that I wanted to hit. One, I wanted to give you opportunity to talk a little bit more about what 𝕁𝕒𝕪 is. And so people can be just a little bit more aware of what that is. And immediately after that, I would love for you to share where people can follow you on your social platforms to get to know more about what you're doing.
Okay, for sure. So Ox Court Wars is a concept that is also familiar, right? Something that we do in the car, on road trips, at house parties. Just, hey, let me get on the Ox, let me get on the Ox, whatever, right? So it's something that we've already been doing. So the concept is not new, but we formatted it into a game show to where it's a head-to-head competition. So it feels like a DJ competition, but the audience members get to compete. Right. So super cool, right? It reminds you of your well, it has the high energy of your favorite sporting event or like a concert, because we just giving it our all, giving that energy. And it's only classics. So you get a chance to play a minimum of 3 songs like within a certain genre, right? And so if you got a whole 90s R&B section and you got to pick 3 songs, your 3 songs might be my 3 songs, right? Because classics are classics at the end of the day.
Correct.
But if you play my song, now I got to pivot to what is just as good, and that's subjective, right? So you get to see how it plays out with the crowd, with the audience, and you either sink or swim, right? So it's very fun, something that we've been doing. We are on our 6th college tour right now. Please be on the lookout for Ox Court Wars. Follow us on IG at Ox Court Wars. Follow our YouTube page, Ox Court Wars, because we're getting with still doing the colleges and keeping that consistency. We are expanding outside of colleges to go into cities and to make that a huge thing. So we're working on that now. In the planning for, and you will see us, city to city tours, because music is timeless. It's not a young thing. It's not a college thing. That's just something that we started with the branding to figure out the correct format and the platform. So now that we have the format, now that we have the platform, we know that it's an experience that people our age and even better are going to love as well. So we're excited.
I love it. So this is a perfect pivot. We talked about just life's expectations, life actual journeys, valleys, peaks, but we all know music is essential to helping us get through. So I'm asking every guest this season, what song is your go-to when you need to be encouraged, when you need to be fired up, or that kind of just carries you through those moments and encourages you? What's that song for you?
I am an R&B dude, right? Okay. I stretch the R&B, I work out the R&B, and probably one of my favorite songs, gotta be top 2.5. I don't even know the other 1.5. Is actually Lloyd You.
Okay.
Yep. But I love it because it simply says, love me for who I am. I'm just being me, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when people see you and see you good at a couple of things, they don't know where to place you, right?
Right.
That's kind of like, guys, I'm an entertainer.
Right.
I am a great host, and I'm going to be a great everything else, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times people will be like, yeah, I mean, I ran into Jay Dukes and he a comedian. I'm a host, right? And I am a comedic host. I am all of these things wrapped up into one, but just let me be me. Let me do my things. You sit back and enjoy it. One thing about me, whatever the subject line is, I want to be able to go get that check. So, hey Jay, I am looking for a blank.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, yep, I'm on the way. So whether that's, host, comedian, actor, director, writer, I even bought a bunch of equipment that got the crib looking like a studio right now. So if you need lighting, if you need a cameraman, if you need an editor.
Okay. Actually, let me.
Yeah, but nah, for sure. So
I love that. I love that. Lloyd You. I love that. Well, Jay,
that song makes me cry every time I hear it. Oh man.
I think I'm gonna have to go listen to it right after this, because I think I've heard it before, but I need to now hear it in the context of what you shared, for sure.
For sure. Listen to it, please.
I will.
Love it.
I will.
Salute the Lord.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and everyone today. I just appreciate you. I thank God for you being a person in my life. You're just awesome. I'm so excited for what you're going to continue to do.
Allison, you are amazing. And I always say this, that I never do it for the credit, but I do it for the credits, right? And
Yeah.
so again, CIAA is the highest of highs coming from Spartanburg, South Carolina, that you can do to have that under your belt.
Yeah.
You were essential in making that happen. So for my career to go to new heights, you had to be a part of my story. And I can never take that away from you. Nobody ever can take that away from you. That Allison Paige is 92%. I'm giving, credit to whoever, but definitely 92% of the reason that I was put in position, to meet Xavier, to meet Dexter, to get on stage to CIAA, for other people to say, what have you done before? And I can confidently say I hosted CIAA Step Show for 4 years in a row. And they
Yeah.
go, oh, he's good at something.
So
Let's
you
give him
made
a try.
her.
Right? So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That my pleasure, and so much credit to you as well, just for always showing up ready and getting the job done. And you can't ask for a greater partner, greater brother. I'm, like I said before, I'm so excited for all the things that are to come. Because every time I talk to you, I'm like, dang, you want it again. Not shockingly though, but just in an exciting way. So
I needed this.
yes, thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm hoping you have a wonderful week and that you're able to take so many gems away from this conversation. So be encouraged, be excited, be joyful, be ready, and just rock it out. We'll talk to you soon.